Almost a year later. I had my first child, she's in the mental hospital. Don't think my posts were memorable, but I figured I'd post again to hopefully give someone a bit of hope. August 2020. My M38 wife F35 of almost 15 years left me. She had been chatting with other men, women, and other acts which I discovered by going into chat rooms she enjoyed. She lied about wanting kids for years, then tried to turn it around on me saying I was using her for kids. She kicked me out, forced me to give away my pet who was the closest thing to a child, and tried to destroy my life. Went as far as a canned letter from a lawyer who never even bothered to spell check it for what basically said I'm not allowed to defend myself in private conversations with her. I never heard from her after September 1, 2020. She was mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically abusive. But it hurt. I was lost, felt like my life was just waiting to end. Even contemplated speeding it up. Late October I posted about seeing a girl I knew. Was a 50-50 split of PPL saying I was too early to start dating, but I went for it. I'm happy I did. It's been a roller coaster, but we are still together, and a few weeks after my divorce was finalized I welcomed my first child into the world. My life has changed in a way I never thought was possible a year ago, and it's refreshing. My ex-wife? Earlier this year she called me on a private number. She informed me she was in the mental hospital, that she tried killing herself, and that she was diagnosed with bipolar and BPD. I warned her and her family she had it during the breakup, but they ridiculed me. She started telling me her pity story, and then proceeded to tell me about the guys and girls she slept with. I believe it was to fess up and have a fresh start, because she asked about getting back together. I told her right away I was with someone and we were expecting. It hurt her. But she even tried suggesting she could be a good co-parent with me. I shot that down as well. Ever since we've kept minimal contact for divorce proceedings and items we wanted to return each other. I have zero desire to ever get back with her, even if I was single. My life is better without her, and now she sees that too. It kills her on the inside, and as petty as it sounds I'm glad. She had no remorse for the family she destroyed, I have none for her regrets. So there. I know the feeling of post-D-Day. I know the emptiness. But it can get better. I never believed it was possible, but every morning I wake up to my beautiful child smiling at me and her amazing mother. Don't give up. I'm glad I didn't. Second story. Discovered husband had affair, so he ended his life. Hi guys. This was 2 years ago now, and so I've had some time to gain perspective on the situation, but I have read some of your stories and want to share mine and ask for some advice. Basically, I, 30F, was sitting at home one night having just put our 9-month-old to bed, and got some weird social media ads from a friend of mine. She added me to Insta, FB, etc. I was so confused because I didn't know she had unfriended me. So I texted my husband, 35M, that she was being a weirdo. I had zero thoughts of them having an affair together. She was/is married and I thought my husband was faithful. 20 minutes later my husband walks in the door telling me we need to talk. I still didn't put 2 and 2 together and thought he got fired from work or something. He looked so despondent. That's when he told me about the affair. It hurt so bad to be backstabbed by a friend and my husband at the same time. He was apologetic but was also flipping it around on me not being happy enough, etc. I had just had a baby and went through a cancer scare at the same time. How was I supposed to always be happy? I shouldn't have, but I texted her too, and she flipped it on me as well, telling me I should have had better control over my husband. Double WTF. I'm not here to control anyone and I trusted him, and her. Anyways, it gets worse. Apparently he had confessed to her that this wasn't the first time he had cheated on me. He had hooked up with randoms at work too. She threatened him that she would tell me if he didn't tell me right away. She cited morality, Lamau. As of now she felt the need to be moral. Anyways, he told me, I reacted poorly and told him I couldn't tolerate that and we needed to divorce. I had been trying to accept his affair with my friend, not smart, but I desperately wanted things to work between us, but hearing it was a chronic thing for him changed the game entirely. So I told him I was out. That was when he took off and ended his life. It took hours for police to find him, and the whole time I was hoping he took off to blow off steam, but his tone when he left scared me, so I called 911 and police were at my house for about 6 hours until the official notification came. I guess my question in all this is, how do I live with no answers or closure? How do I live knowing that my friend just blocked me on everything and continues to live her normal married life when my family blew up and my son has no dad anymore? How do I ever trust someone intimately again? I am in therapy and it helps, mostly alleviating my guilt at not saving him from himself, but holy hell, this is a lot to live with. It all feels very unfair that I had no hand in any of this, and my poor little dude, still ended up being the ones totally screwed over. Third story. Wife had affair, only admitted after being caught, wants to reconcile but I'm stuck. Hello, this is my first Reddit post ever. So I've been married 5 years, we've been together for 12 years, we have 2 kids, 3 and 7. About a year ago during the pandemic, things weren't great between us, we were growing disconnected but things were trucking along. My wife was furloughed, had broken her foot, was homeschooling our eldest, and at this time her dad and sister were not going well with their health, so she was going through a lot. I ended up catching her in bed with a female friend one night, and things got explosive and I saw on her phone messages from her friend Johnny that were obviously sual and inappropriate. This guy is a former work acquaintance who lives out of town but comes here occasionally for work. He's a tattoo artist and she had got a tattoo from him that week and I let her go to his place for a get-together with friends. Even though I saw texts alluding to them having she only admitted to making out. I ended up going through her Instagram and text messages and they were deeply singing things were taking on and Sam vibe. It was all so disturbing. I went into a rage, threw her phone on the ground, it shattered. So for 6 months after this, we tried couples therapy, she eventually wanted to separate, she gaslighted me the whole time even though I was despondent and couldn't give up the fact that I knew they had even though she wouldn't admit. I did all the things like trying to win her back and trying date nights and being better partner around the house, but she just wasn't ready, she was too connected to this guy. I caught her sting him again in April and she supposedly cut off contact with him. I went out of town in May to get some space and she promised she wouldn't see him. While I was out of town, she texted me saying she wanted to give things a go, to not separate. I was so happy and came back renewed to get things back on track. Things were going okay this summer, she got a new job and I asked her to block him on IG, which she did. But then in June I caught her seeing him again and I lost it, got suicidal, called 911, etc. Obviously, very toxic all around. I emailed the guy after this telling him to leave my wife alone. A month later, I start getting emails from the guy's girlfriend and things all started to come out in the open. Turns out, of course they had that first time back in the fall, but the kicker is, on the night I was out of town and the same night she texted me saying she wanted to work things out, turns out he was in town and she caved and let him come over, and they had in my house, on my couch, while my kids were asleep. She chalks it up to alcohol, past sual trauma, so many reasons but none of them make it okay and I cannot stop thinking about them having I know all the details and I can't unsee it. Since it was all forced out in the open, she's determined to make things right and has been doing everything she can, but I'm stuck. I just feel it's unforgivable, but maybe I'm wrong? I do love her and I really want things to work out, our kids need us and when things are good, we are a great team. I really need to know if things can get better. I am an overthinker and I am worried that maybe I just can't overcome this. Thank you.